We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football, and that includes the second installment of the college football playoff rankings. We're going to be doing a rapid reaction in the comment section with your phone calls. There's probably not going to be too many changes. Eight of the top 10 teams who played won last week. But there might be some movement. I think Georgia's going to get number one. Let me know who you think is going to get number one. Do you think the Buckeyes are going to hang on? Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for coming on into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend. With your comments and with your phone calls later in this show. So we're going to be doing a rapid reaction. We're going to talk about the college football playoffs. But first, the Michigan update. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Are we going to find out tomorrow sometime during the day the decision that Tony Petitti has made? I think it's a possibility. Wednesday or Thursday, I think those are your sweet spots. Now, first of all, we got to talk about John Bacon. For what it's worth, Big Ten's Tony Petitti was informed today that the two programs which fed Purdue Michigan signals before the 2022 Big Ten title game was Rutgers and Ohio State. Not clear if rules were broken. Doesn't directly affect Michigan's situation, but raises question related to competitive advantage. Nicole Auerbach puts out a tweet this afternoon. Michigan has sent documents to the Big Ten and the NCAA that believes shows that Purdue, Ohio State, Rutgers were sharing Michigan signals amongst their staff. Sources tell Austin Meek, Bruce Feldman, and me at The Athletic. We also have, if you give me all a moment here, CBS Sports came out with a couple articles. We'll just hit one real quick here. Michigan alleges Ohio State Rutgers shared Wolverine signals with Purdue in 2022. Per reports, two schools are accused of sharing signs with Purdue ahead of the 2022 Big Ten title game. The Michigan has submitted evidence to the Big Ten alleging that Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue shared information about the Wolverine signals ahead of the Big Ten championship game, according to ESPN. The information comes as the Wolverines make their case to avoid punishment in the alleged wide-ranging sign-stealing ring. According to the allegations, Ohio State shared offensive signals and Rutgers shared defensive signals ahead of Michigan's 45-23 victory over Purdue. Stealing signs is not against either the Big Ten and the NCAA rules. However, Michigan is alleged to have sent individuals to scout in person and record sidelines for the purpose of stealing signs. The Big Ten gave formal notice to Michigan. We all know about that. So those are a couple of articles in relation to this. I also want to hit upon this real quick. This was just released about 20 minutes ago before we came on live. Michigan will contend sign stealing investigation and NCAA, not a Big Ten issue, in reply to conference. The Big Ten notified Michigan on Monday that potential disciplinary action may be forthcoming. Right? As part of the Michigan's reply to the Big Ten, amid notification that the conference may discipline the Wolverines and coach Jim Harbaugh, the University of Michigan, intends to portray the ongoing sign-stealing scandal as an NCAA issue rather than a violation of the Big Ten sportsmanship policy, sources told CBS Sports. As such, Michigan will claim the situation should be handled by the NCAA's ongoing enforcement investigation. So that's where Michigan, if it's handled by the NCAA, well, it's going to take a lot longer time. There won't be any penalties handed out this season. I also want to hit on this. Lane Kiffin on Sports Center today was asked about Michigan and sign stealing. Obviously, they happen in games and coaches talk to each other. But that's a whole other animal. The accusations there. That would dramatically change how you perform as a team and dramatically change what your record would be. I don't know any details of it, but those would be severe things if those were true. I'm just giving you a scattering shot of a whole lot of people giving their opinions, some reports on the matter. I'm going to give you mine right now. But first of all, I want to thank the people who have come in on this Tuesday, early evening, late afternoon for some of you. College football rankings, rapid reaction. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Smash the like button. It helps us with the algorithm so very much. Please hit that dollar sign. If you want to donate to the channel, support us, hit that dollar sign, make a comment. I'll get you a comment as soon as possible. Anthony Palika, thanks for coming on in. Randy Taylor, appreciate it. Ted Evans, Tim Bailey's, Stephen McNeely, Kenneth Evans, Joe Z, JD Turtle, thank you for all coming on in. Brian Brooks, Lannis 31, Buckshot Kid, Red Legs, thanks for all coming in. I appreciate it. So we're going to get I'm going to give you my opinion right now on where I think this Michigan in-person scouting scandal is going. I think we're going to hear from Tony Petitti Wednesday or Thursday. That's not a surprise. I do think there's going to be some game suspensions handed out to Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what the number is going to be. At the very least, I think that's what's going to be handed out. Primarily because I think Tony Petitti has a whole lot of evidence, number one. Number two, it's explicit in the rule book. And number three, he has the political cover to do so inside the Big Ten. Those are the reasons why I think Tony Petitti is going to act tomorrow or Thursday. I got a feeling it's tomorrow. Now, let me get back to the Rutgers, Ohio State giving signals to Purdue. You know what? If that is against the rules, if that's against sportsmanship policy rules, okay, let the Big Ten commissioner look at it and hand down whatever punishment he sees fit. If it's now, I don't see it explicitly. I don't see it against the rules explicitly stated. Number one. Number two, the Athletic article that just came out right before we came on live, which I cannot show you. The person who used to work for Jim Harbaugh, who worked for Purdue last year, when he gave the documents over to Michigan, they sent it to the NCAA. They sent it to Tony Petitti. He himself says this doesn't violate any rules. Also, in the Athletic article, there are other staff members of other Big Ten schools and said these are completely two different animals. That's the word, that was the phrase that was used. I also was told, as I was poking and prodding on this, I was told that there's been a handful of times where Big Ten teams has asked the Big Ten compliance whether sharing information on teams, if that goes against the sportsmanship policy, and they've been told no. Not just hand signals, but players, what do you do against this right defensive end? Coaches talk all the time. Lane Kiffin just mentioned it in that tweet that I showed you. What Michigan did was what Connie Stallions did, representing Michigan, paid staff member, was completely different. Now, if you can convince me, and maybe you can, right here on this show, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe 2 days from now, or maybe a week from now, or maybe a month from now, if you can convince me that what Rutgers and Purdue and Ohio State did was against the sportsmanship policy, okay, let's go. Let's deal with it. But I'm definitely not there yet. And everybody I've talked to definitely is not there yet. Okay, but let's say you do convince me. Or better yet, you convince Tony Petitti, yeah, okay, this was a little bit above the normal talk between coaches. They talk all the time. Well, okay, punish that violation. But you got to understand, that is one game, Big Ten championship game. If there's a violation there, if you are admitting there's a violation there, then you've got to admit to 2+ years of violations all over the place. I think it's a dog that's not going to bark. My first look at it, I'm going to keep following that story. But I don't think it's, what I've been told is once in a while schools will go to Big Ten compliance and make sure that they're not breaking any rules. They do that and this is one of the many things they've talked with the Big Ten. Nobody, there's no evidence that anyone else has had sent over 65 people in a in-person scouting ring to film the other team's sidelines and have a guy with a hat and his sunglasses. You know, they are completely two different animals. And if you're going to be a person who says the animal of Purdue and Ohio State and Rutgers, that's a violation. Okay, go there. But my goodness, what does this mean then? What does the big animal over here, the in-person scouting Michigan mean? That means Jim Harbaugh should be suspended for how many games? Show cause. So and believe me, I love interaction. I love people disagreeing with me. But for the Michigan fans who have spent the last 2 hours sending me Twitter comments who are very upset about what Purdue and Ohio State did. Okay, all right. I get it. I understand it. But if that's a bomb, what Jim Harbaugh's staff did, what the Michigan program did, is a nuclear bomb. So, I don't know. Now, the most interesting part for me, in all these comments that have come out, all this reporting, is the one I last showed you. Michigan's going to argue that this is not a Big Ten investigation. That they shouldn't be the ones that are handing out the punishment, the suspension. It should be NCAA. The Big Ten does have a sportsmanship policy. And it's quite vague. But it's in there. It talks about integrity of competition. You would think this falls right in there. So, Michigan, once this becomes official, Tony Petitti hands out at least, I believe, a suspension, at least a 2-game suspension to the head coach. Michigan's going to file injunction and do all this stuff. And again, we do not have any reports, any reports on the SMU thing yet. But I think there's no way Connor Stallions got on that sideline alone. No way did a recruiting analyst making $55,000 got on that sideline alone and was able to get a t-shirt, a Central Michigan shirt, a hat, and the whole ball of wax. There's no way. And his name wasn't on any of those forms that you have to fill out when you're trying to get a visitor bench pass, which you're only supposed to get a visitor bench pass if you're involved in the game. That's also an NCAA rule. When you're involved in the game, either a coach, assistant coach, medical personnel. So that story is just brimming. Okay, let me get to your comments. Let me, we are 11 minutes away from the new college football rankings coming out. What do you think? Is there going to be any big movement? I think the Buckeyes lose that number 1 slot. I think it's going to be Georgia. I think Washington's going to stay at 5. Florida State. I don't know. 4. Michigan 3. Buckeyes 2. Georgia 1. We shall see. Going to be pretty interesting. Jay Go Blue, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Suspend Harbaugh, but do it for all offenders. Offenders of what, though? That's my question. Offenders of what? See, I don't know if it is an offense for coaches to be talking about each other. What is explicit in the rules is in-person scouting, filming. I mean, it's right there. So, and if you want to suspend Harbaugh for what Michigan did, I don't know. I think it's going to be a dog that doesn't bark. I've been told by phone call, teams often ask Big Ten what is for compliance. What is compliance? And this seems to be in the rules where coaches talk to each other all the time. Coaches are changing jobs all the time. They know the history of the former team that they were at with hand signals. A coach can share, a coordinator coming from one program to another can share the hand signals of the coach that is now. All this is legal. It's going in-person scouting during the season. It's explicit during the season of a future opponent. Scouting, doesn't have to be an official scout. In-person scouting and filming, and that looks like what Conestoganes was doing. And if that was Conestoganes on the CMU sidelines, and he was filming with the sunglasses, I don't know. Browns backer, Michigan is using live projection, whataboutism to try to lessen the lack of institutional control shown by Harbaugh. Landis 31, no one is ganging up on Michigan. They definitely are not leaving the Big Ten. I don't know where they would go. The University of Michigan is not an SEC school. Michigan's going to be Michigan again, ladies and gentlemen. Michigan is a fantastic, big-time research university. Big time. We're talking University of Wisconsin, University of Washington research level. They've had now the Buckeye fans are going to yell at me. Penn State fans are going to yell at me. A lot of people are going to yell at me when I say this, but University of Michigan has a long, I shouldn't even say it because I'm just going to get crushed by you all. But University of Michigan has a long history of pretty strict. I mean, their standards, their entrance standards, real high. A great school. I think once Michigan gets out of this Jim Harbaugh era, they'll be Michigan again. Michigan ain't leaving the Big Ten. It's just part of the drama playing out. ESPN reps reached out to Michigan, Ohio State in 2020. This is a huge witch hunt that most teams do in one form and another. I would like to know what, again, I appreciate the comment, but are other teams doing in-person scouting? Do they know the other team's hand signals before the game starts? Do they have a whole bunch of people, 65 people, going to stadiums and filming with their phone? And it's explicitly, it says it right in the rule book. So if there are other teams doing it, and if there's evidence, yes, the coaching staff, the head coach should pay the punishment. This isn't really all that complicated. I mean, switch seats for a moment here. If you're a Michigan fan and if this was a story on Ohio State, would you have any issues saying the Buckeyes head coach should get slapped down severely? I'm guessing you won't. And if you're a Buckeye fan, you're probably going to circle the wagons around Ryan Day, right? We're getting close here. We're getting close. We are 5 minutes away. Let's open up the phone lines. Talk about anything college football. I will have to interrupt you because they're going to be doing, I'm going to open up the phone lines for just a few minutes. But when they get to the rankings, we're going to talk about the rankings. The lines are open up for 5 minutes, and then I'll open them up once again after the rankings are over. Danielle Dill says Washington has the best win in their resume, should put them in the top 3.
Call from
ABO Prep Course 100%.
Soap is on the line. How you doing, Soap?
I am great, Greg. I won't take up much of your time. I've got to get going myself. I've got to.
You got it.
Here. But hey, I hope everyone listening to me takes this with a grain of salt. This is from a Houston Astro fan.
Okay.
And we have been cursed with the sign stealing scandal going on and on and on. And as what I'm about to say, you're going to think is crazy, but this would be in the best interest of the Michigan fans. And it would be for the NCAA to make Michigan ineligible for postseason bowls this year. I know that's dramatic. However, what it's going to do is it's going to put all of the pressure on the people at Michigan University. The ones that are going to be pissed off are the fans and the people involved with the football program are going to have to be held accountable. Harbaugh will be held accountable by his people. But what it will do, Greg, is it will give it the people of Michigan will face this deal and it will be over with. And everybody go, wow, they took it on the chin, but it will be over with. You won't hear anything next year, the year after that. Oh, God, you guys cheated and got away with it and everything like that. That is almost as bad as not having it. That is worse than not having a chance at playing in the playoffs. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And it looks like the bowl series, the ranking has kicked the can down the street. They say that the Michigan's ranking will not be affected by this. That only the NCAA can keep them bowl ineligible. So that's it.
All righty,
that's
man.
It for me.
Beautiful.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Soap. Great call, man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Great call by Soap, giving you his Houston Astros perspective. Shave the banana. I'm to believe that Michigan is the only team doing in-person scouting. Come on, man. This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. Are they the only ones doing in-person scouting? I don't know. If there's evidence of other teams doing in-person scouting, I'd sure like to see it. And if it is, I'm going to report on it. And that information should be given to the NCAA. Now, we do know, Shave the Banana and other people, we do know there's been a lot of coaches have come out and said, I've never been a part of this. I have not heard anyone else do this. This is explicitly against the rules. We've known about it since 1994. That's what I've been hearing. So maybe Michigan is the only one doing it. But maybe there is another school out there that's doing it. And maybe they should stop. It's explicitly against the rules. It just is. It's right in there. So, and we don't even know the full story yet. Again, I go back to the Central Michigan University Chippewas. Connor Stallions being on the sideline with his sunglasses. It looks like he's filming it. I mean, that is. If that is true, that's just another level to this. And what else is there? 65 people Connor Stallions used. At least 65 people. That is a big, big, big doing that's going on. And stuff going into a Michigan computer in which other coaches had access. I don't believe Connor Stallions was rogue on this. And I think there's, and I don't know, but we'll see if anyone else is involved. ESPN, Georgia, are they going to be number one? Buckeyes going to be number one? if you scout tape, or if you steal signals during the game, if you scout game tape, it's not illegal. It's the in-person scouting of a future opponent. It's right in the rules. You people have no idea how pissed we are. I don't know who are we? What are Arnold Jones? Are you Michigan? What fan or what type of fan are you? Just let me know. Sorry, Gray, I'm frustrated because I love your show, but I felt like it's just I go where the story goes. I understand, J Go Blue. I get it, man. I get it. I understand why people are upset with me. I'm reporting the story. I'm giving you my opinion, and I'm also giving you stuff that other people are telling me. So I have been very careful. Look, I've said over and over again, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh was directly involved or not, if he knew anything about it or not. If he did know anything about it, wow, that says a lot about him too. But I do not know if he knew about it, directly involved about it. I also wasn't one of those cats who went out there and said that Ryan Day's brother, investigation firm, blah, blah, blah. Like a lot of beat writers in Michigan have been just throwing out complete nonsense. You know, I think Michigan fans should start turning on those people because, my goodness, the NCAA knows what investigation firm gave them the information. Of course they do. There's been a lot of just stories being created out of midair, out of thin air, just for deflection, whatever. And so look, if Tony Petitti, if he notifies Purdue and Rutgers and Ohio State of investigation, I'm on that story.
Call from
PSU Nitwit.
PSU Nitwit, the floor is yours. The rankings are going to come out pretty soon, so if you can make it real quick.
All right, man. I just want to make 2 quick points here. One, I think we keep forgetting about that somehow through the investigations in Michigan, this was found on their computers, and that was turned over by an agency that was hired by Michigan.
We don't know if it was hired by Michigan.
Well, I mean, it only explains that they have the access to the computers. So
I'm just saying we don't know that yet.
we don't know.
No.
But then this was turned over to the NCAA. So all this stuff that people are saying that people are out to get Michigan, I think we need to start looking at the evidence. And like I said, I don't see it. So I know you're saying that it's not confirmed, but I think people need to go back to the beginning of the story. And then you got the Ryan Day stuff and all that kind of nonsense. So just wanted to throw that out there and remind people that this was a story. It seems like we're losing the details as everybody's saying, oh, look at these shiny things over here. You know what I mean? All right, thanks, Greg.
Yep. Oh, okay. Sorry. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to we're going to shut off the phone lines. We'll take calls after the rankings come out. Again, if you hit the $sign, put out a comment. I'll get you a comment real quick. Otherwise, we're going to be going through the rankings coming out real quick here. Arnold Jones, why aren't you talking about Ohio State Rutgers giving Purdue our signals? I opened the show talking about that. I showed the articles. That's exactly what I did. I talked about it. I also said if Tony Petitti lets Ohio State and Rutgers and Purdue know that there could be a potential penalty, I will report on it. But I talked about it at the very start of the show, Arnold. Right away, right off the bat. Kansas State 25, North Carolina 24, Tulane 23, Iowa 22, Arizona 21. Arizona 21. Wow, what a turnaround. What a turnaround for that program. Jedd Fisch, holy smokes. Immaculate Iowa 22. Man, I just want to take a ladder, walk up to the top of my house. I better not say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. Tulane, number 23. Remember that now. Looks like they might be getting that New Year's Bowl game. Notre Dame 20. LSU 19. Utah 18. Oklahoma goes down 8 spots. They're 17. And the Kansas Jayhawks are number 16. If we had the expanded playoffs this year, next year is going to be exciting, man. This year's exciting, but next year, we're going to be... look, we would be analyzing every single team from 20 past 25, from 30 to 10, trying to get the last couple of at-large spots. Number 15, Oklahoma State. Number 14, Missouri. Number 13, Tennessee. Number 12, Oregon State. And look at Louisville. Look at Jeff Brom, Louisville at number 11. At number 11. I haven't seen Ole Miss yet. Is Ole Miss going to stay at 10? Louisville and Ole Miss, they both got, everything has to go perfect. I did an episode earlier today. A legit shot, a long shot, but a legit shot for Ole Miss to make it to the college football playoffs. So does the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville's at number 11. Arnold Jones. You like children. That is going to... see ya. Look, guys, in the chat, you can throw some elbows, but you know what is, you're all adults, you know what's not gonna stand here in our chat room. Number 10, Penn State. The Nittany Lions, number 10. Where's Ole Miss? Where's Ole Miss? Awesome Lawson Clips, Louisville. Your Cardinals are number 11. What a big time first year season for Jeff Brom. Now again, I'm behind you guys. I have all this up on the big monitor, which is behind you. You'll get the placements before I will. Number 9, Ole Miss. There it is. Ole Miss, number 9, they move up 1. Penn State moved up 1. Louisville moved up to 11. Man, I wish we had the expanded playoffs this year. Wow. Man, I'm telling you guys, next year is going to be the best year of our college football lives. Well, except for those of you in the chat who actually have teams that win national championships and all that stuff. But for most of us, next year's going to be a blast. Number 8, Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama, number 8. They've gotten right back into this thing. They're almost a lock. They would have to lose the last 2 SEC conference games not to go to the SEC championship game. It's Alabama and Georgia, ladies and gentlemen. It's Alabama versus Georgia once again. The reason why I think Ole Miss has a shot, and I talked about it in an episode earlier, what if Alabama gets in there? What if Alabama crushes Georgia? What if Georgia crushes Alabama? Ole Miss can just They could slide in if a Washington loses, if Michigan, Ohio State lose. If teams fall, Ole Miss outside shot at getting that number 4 spot. Same thing with Louisville, by the way. Same thing with Louisville. Although they actually have a little bit wider path than Ole Miss. Number 7, the Texas Longhorns. Number 7, the Texas Longhorns. They just got by last week. Kansas State in overtime. The Longhorns, 8-1, number 7. Man, I wish. Okay, settle down, Greg. Settle down. Next year's coming. Next year's a-coming. Bama roll. They're number 8. USC needs to roll out the red carpet from Mr. Phil Parker. Ooh. Talking about rolling out the red carpet. We are how many weeks away from teams starting to communicate indirectly with players from another teams, and that whole poaching begins. It's probably already begun. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, but it's going to be misery for a lot of our programs out there, a lot of fans out there. We're going to lose our best players. Jared McKinley says Penn State will be eliminated after this weekend. Of course, PSU Nitwit says Penn State's going to be ranked number 5 after this weekend. Okay, here we go. Number 6, the Oregon Ducks. Now, Washington probably be number 5. Michigan or Florida State will be 3 or 4. Georgia and Ohio State be 1 or 2, I'm guessing here. Washington's number 5. Florida State's had the better resume than Michigan. So it should be Michigan number 4. Michigan can improve upon that with the victory over Penn State, but Michigan should be number 4 here, in my opinion. Number 4, Florida State. Florida State, number 4. Number 3 is Michigan. Number 1, Georgia or Ohio State. Mizzou struggled in the first half. Georgia struggled in the first half against Mizzou. Ohio State struggled in the first half against Rutgers. They both won the game. Ohio State won a little bit more comfortably, obviously. Georgia needed an interception by their big defensive tackle in the middle of the fourth quarter. Who's going to be number 1? Number 2, Georgia. Number 1, Ohio State. So no changes. no real changes in the top 25 of the college football playoffs. So my rapid reaction is I would have had Georgia number 1. But doesn't really matter. I understand Ohio State's beaten a little bit better resume so far. Little bit better resume. But then again, Florida State has a little bit better resume than Michigan. So anyways, not too much complaining coming from me. Let me know in your comments. I'm going to open up the phone lines once again. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. The lines are open. You can talk about anything college football related. College Football Playoff Committee just ranked. This is the second installment. Ohio State 20th in strength of schedule. Georgia 90th. Strength of resume. Ohio State's number 1. Georgia's number 7. Key wins. Number 10 Penn State. 14 Mizzou. Ohio State's got Notre Dame at 20. I get it. The Moen Show. We'll take that tailback off you, Greg. Well, it looks like the Buckeyes are ready to take the Gophers' number 1 committed player for 2024 class, and that's Coy Perch, up north in Minnesota, safety. I saw him play in a basketball game, Perch, in Maple Grove here when he was a sophomore, and he did an amazing dunk. He's a great athlete. He's a 4-star, number 1 commitment from Minnesota, and now Ohio State's going to sweep him up. That's why I get upset, I get frustrated, Gophers lose, blah, blah, blah. But my frustration with the Gophers will never match my frustrations with the professional teams at Minnesota or the college hockey team, because it's just impossible. It's the only player that the Gophers have ever kept when Ohio State knocked on the door was Carter Coughlin. He plays for the Giants in the NFL somewhere. Great football player. Urban Meyer went into his living room. They went into his living room, had a visit, and at the end, this story's been out there. The Coughlin family has talked about this forever, but Urban Meyer had a great meeting with Carter Coughlin, and at the end of the meeting, Urban Meyer says, well, I hope we get you up here, whatever, and Carter Coughlin said something to the effect of, nah, I think I'm going to stick with Minnesota. And Urban Meyer was just shocked. Well, I don't think Urban Meyer knew that Carter Coughlin's grandfather, famous golfer, their families is all tied in, but used to be like Tom Moe. He had some official position with Minnesota, and Carter Coughlin was always going to be a golfer from the time he grew up. But that's any other time that the Buckeyes have knocked on the door of a Gopher committed player, he's gone. So we expect Coy Perch, our number 1 player, to be gone. Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to take him a year or two, though, to get ready. But, it's more difficult now to sneak guys by, all these recruiting companies and all these film, digital, people can see if you can play, the big schools are going to find you. The big schools are going to find you.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, the floor is yours. Iowa, number 22.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, if it was the college football expanded playoffs this year, we'd be talking about, can they sneak in?
Yeah, it's absurd, but it's true.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him, but at the same time, it's like, I know there's going to be Hawkeye fans that are like, see, look, everything's fine. We don't need to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to happen, and I don't think it'll matter. But still, ranked 22 for having the absolute worst ranked offense in the entire FBS. I mean, there's got to be an award for that, right?
An award?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a not a prestigious award, but
Yeah.
something. Recruit.
Ooh.
And he put out a little tweet about Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if they've been talking to a certain previous offensive line coach. We'll see.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I got to say, I'm going to say this might get people in the chat riled up, but Penn State should be ahead of Ole Miss. If you were to compare, I mean, I don't know. Who do you think is better, Penn State or Ole Miss?
Right now, I have to give Ole Miss the advantage. I've actually looked at Ole Miss's schedule today because I did that episode earlier today on them. It's close, right? It's just Penn State. Well, you know what?
Only
Penn
one of
State's
them
going to
has
get
a
their
defense.
chance this
What's that?
Saturday. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they still got to prove it, right? Like, if they lose this game, then, this argument is moot and pie in my face and all that. But, I mean, Ole Miss already lost their big game, though. Like, they lost to Alabama. Who else are they getting? They're playing Georgia this week, so they're probably going to lose, too.
yeah.
So, it comes down to, I think Penn State has a defense. Their offense hasn't been stellar, but when it does perform well, it performs really well.
Yeah.
So, Ole Miss doesn't have a defense. It's not that I've seen. Maybe some folks would argue that, but they just kind of seem like they try to outscore whomever they play.
Yeah.
Who do you think the Final Four is?
I'm going to stick with my Final Four picks. Penn State's going to upset Michigan. It's going to be Penn State, Washington, Florida State, and Georgia. I'm going to ride it till it dies. Okay? It's not dead quite yet.
Might as well ride it.
I just need Penn State I need them to play the game of Coach Franklin's life. His team, when's the last time they won like just a big football game? Like huge. I can't remember.
I think they've only beat Ohio State and Michigan once since they've joined the conference, if I remember right.
So
probably that one.
Get it done. Get it done this Saturday, and the dream's alive for Washington, Florida State, Penn State, and Georgia. And then I would need Michigan to beat Ohio State and whatever. I don't know what else I need, but no, I'm going to go with it till it dies.
Yeah, you would need to beat Michigan, and then Michigan would have to beat Ohio State. And I don't know if Penn State still wins that tiebreaker. That's wild. It might just come down to CFP ranking, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to learn the tiebreakers going into next year, though.
Furby brought up a good point, though.
There's going to be tiebreakers galore next year through all the conferences.
But starting next year, like, I really don't care if someone gets left out at number 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if you're number 13, this is still about finding a champion. Like, you're not guaranteed anything at that point in time. It's like number 5 or number 6 who's undefeated. That's a different story.
Well,
but
what
happens? Go ahead. Sorry.
I agree with you, except for if Minnesota ever finishes number 13, I am going up on that ladder, up on the top of the house, and you know what's going to happen next. So,
you throw snowballs at people?
Huh?
You'll throw snowballs at people?
I'm going to dive right into the snowbank.
Well, at least it'd be nice and soft.
Head first. Yeah.
But as I was saying, Kirby there, his point about if Texas wins out and Alabama beats Georgia, what happens with that?
If Texas wins out,
Yeah, if they win out
and Alabama beats Georgia,
and Alabama beats Georgia,
whoa.
like that's not in the the championship game there. Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Texas beat Alabama.
Right.
I don't know.
Now, one of Washington and Oregon is going to go down. One of Ohio State and Michigan is going to go down. We're saying Alabama beats Georgia, so they come down. Florida State, I don't know. Do we want to get crazy and say they lose to Louisville? Well, might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you're going to go wild stories here.
Yeah.
I mean, basically only Ohio State survives that.
Yeah. It's we still got room for chaos, no question about it.
Who would that be? That would be Ohio State. That would be. I mean, we're saying your Penn State somehow sneaks in, like total chaos. Louisville, Texas. Just SEC would be left out in that.
Yeah, I don't know. Of course, it all depends on the scores and,
Because could Georgia not possibly drop out of the top four despite losing to Alabama and Alabama not get in because of Texas?
I don't think so. I think Georgia's the one that's out. Everything being even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, that's crazy. But I got to get going. We got the other show going on, but I just wanted to call in about Iowa because that's just super ridiculous. As an Iowa fan, I'm going to
Got it. All right, 22, ranked 22 in the country, Iowa guys. Thanks, Immaculate, for the call.
Absolutely. Have yourself a good night.
You too. Okay, let's see what we got here. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button. If you want me to get to your comment right away, if you want to support the show, hit the dollar sign, put out a comment, and I'll get to it as fast as I can. Mowing. We can't blame them. Want to compete at the highest level, you need to go to a blue blood. You know who the last two safeties are for the Minnesota Golden Gophers? Antoine Winfield and Tyler Nubin. So you can go to Minnesota and come out and be a top draft pick. Tyler Nubin's going to go in the first round. Antoine Winfield, number 3. So yes, you can be a Gopher. If you're a great player, you can exceed anywhere. Michigan favored by 5. That's a dead number in gambling. We're going to be doing our picks, I believe, Thursday or Friday of this week. So we're going to be, there's a lot of big games. It's going to be fun. I do the picks. You do the picks by your votes. People are talking about scenarios in the chat. It can be a lot of chaos. Still. And then the expanded playoffs. Every game, not every game, but every game, like the top 35 teams are still going to be, if you're 6-3, 7-2, if you can make a run, if you can win all the rest of your games, there could be a pathway to get one of those at-large bids. And then you also have the excitement of, are you going to be one of the top 4 ranked conference champions? If you are, you're going to get a bye. And if you are the top-ranked conference champion in the G5, you're going to get an automatic berth. So right now, we'd be looking at Tulane in the AAC. We'd be looking at Liberty in the Conference USA. Air Force possibly, although they just lost. We're going to have multiple layers of storylines that we're going to be watching. Who can get a bye? Who can get automatic berth? Who can get an at-large berth? I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. Now there's news out there that James Madison is trying to get a waiver so they can go to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game and that they can go to a New Year's game. Remember, they are not bowl eligible unless there's not enough spots, not enough teams to fill up the slots for all 41 bowl games. 82 teams be 6-6 and above. They're trying to get a waiver. They submitted it today. We'll see if James Madison can get the okay to go to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. It sounds like the Sun Belt Commissioner wants it to happen. They're supporting it to happen. So James Madison could be challenging Tulane for that New Year's spot here this year. And then going into next year, you're going to be having Liberty, like New Mexico State, Jacksonville State next year, the top teams in the Conference USA, top teams in AAC, you're going to be watching them. See if one of them can go on a run, 12-0, 11-1 run, win the conference championship game, and get the automatic berth. It's going to be great. I know there's still people who don't think that they're going to like it. It's going to be beautiful, in my opinion. Okay. No love for Louisville. They got love. They came in 11th. They're 11th in this new ranking. Big time. Big time showing for Jeff Brom and the Louisville Cardinals. Big. Shouldn't we be doing a Central Michigan, Western Michigan watch along to see if we can spot Mr. Stallions? Of all the parts of that story that we're going to find out, I think that one's going to be like the last one we find out about, right? I think that is... The NCAA is now involved in investigations, so we won't be hearing from Central Michigan. We definitely won't be hearing from Michigan on it.
Call from
JD.
JD, the floor is yours. Seminoles number 4. What do you think?
That's about right. Yes, sir. How you doing this evening?
Doing good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. As many playmakers, I mean, we literally had probably our 5 best receivers out the other night and the other day and had several other starters out. So, it was just kind of one of those survive and advance kind of games. And I think the playoff committee definitely took that into consideration. I don't know that the game was ever in doubt. We just didn't put up the same offensive numbers that we would normally put up. But you're going to have weeks like that. It just is what it is. I mean, it's college football is starting to turn into more like the NFL. You have some weeks that it's just not all clicking, and you just got to win. Yeah,
you got to win. You just got to win. That's all Florida State has to do from here on in.
Yes, sir. And I was hearing you and Immaculate talking about an ACC. If Louisville beat Florida State, would they get in? No, they're not. I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't deserve it. I think they would. It's just the perception that's still there for the ACC, and the voters and those in the committee. They still look down on the ACC. They look highly on FSU because of the resume, the games, and the roster. But the fact that Louisville lost to Pitt and lost actually kind of convincingly, that's going to hurt them. It just is. So I think the only chance for an ACC team to make it is Florida State, because even if Florida State loses a game, I mean, the fan base is kind of unanimous. If we lose one, we're out. They're not going to let us in. They're not going to let us in over a one-loss Bama or Georgia or Ohio State or Michigan. They're just not, and that's just the way that it goes this year.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I don't think you'd definitely be ruled out. I know maybe that's what Florida State fans most are thinking, but I don't know. I mean,
well, there's just not much time left.
yeah.
If we had another 5-6 weeks in the season, but we're looking at 3-4 games, and that's it. There's just not enough time. I don't see Oregon losing again. I don't see Washington. I started to say this the other day when we were talking about Washington. Washington wants to play games that are a track meet. But when they get into somebody that can match their physicality, that's when they've had issues this year. So, and I'm not saying they're not a tough team. I'm just saying that's when they stumble, And so let's just see. Now they did beat Oregon, and Oregon's a physical team. I think Oregon's a lot better now than they were, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, like I said, do I think Florida State's one of the best 4 teams? Of course I do. I mean, I don't mean that just being a biased fan. Good teams lose, and there's not a lot of grace for us if we drop a game.
Yeah.
We'll stay in the top 10 and we'll be highly ranked, but there will be other teams that have just a slightly better resume, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But I hope Louisville wins out, because we want to play a ranked team that's in the top 10, and how it is with the SEC. They are still going to go all out and try to sneak 2 teams in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you've got undefeated teams there; they're still going to just throw a fit and demand, hey, we play a better schedule, and we have a tougher road. Well, this year, not so much.
Yeah.
There's some of those teams that are top 25 teams just by, just because somebody has to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like in previous years. I don't think Ole Miss is going to beat Georgia. I don't. And I don't think Ole Miss is really that good defensively. They barely beat Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's terrible. So, but they can score some points. But have you heard any more on the realignment stuff? Because
Nope. Nothing today.
Well, the boards are starting to liven up again.
Yeah.
And
I know the chat is there, so.
Oh yeah. Well, they're hearing the same thing that you are.
Yeah.
So it's just that stuff's starting to circulate. So
Yeah.
it's coming soon. But
Yeah.
anyway, I just thought I'd call, and I appreciate it, sir. And hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, JD. JD, Mr. Seminole. Thank you so very much. We do have a little bit of breaking news I want to show you. Awesome clips. 12-team playoff pandemonium. Keep your head on a swivel. Mother Flugars, thank you, awesome. Appreciate the super chat. I appreciate your generosity. Appreciate you coming on in. Thank you so very much.
Call from
Mike.
Mike, can you hold on for a second?
Sure.
Thank you so very much. It just there's a little bit of breaking news on Connor Stallions. There's a contract circulating around on social media today linking Connor Stallions in business with Blake Corum. Blake Corum have said, I have no business with them. Said he found out before practice, and his lawyers, Blake Corum's lawyers, are looking into it. Now, let me show you the contract. Again, don't know if it's true or not, but there's lawyers looking into it. If you look up at the screen right now, your phone, tablet, it says the organizer of the limited liability company is, and then it says Connor Stallions, and it gives an address. Connor O'Day, it gives an address. Blake Corum, it gives an address, and all addresses are the same. Villa France Avenue, Ann Arbor, Michigan, 481103. If you look at the this other part of the contract, this false filing a false document could result in criminal penalty and prosecution pursuant. So it could be a penalty here. So if Connor Stallions put Blake Corum's name on this limited liability company, and if this is actually Connor Stallions, and if this is actually legit, people are treating it legit right now. Then Connor Stallions possibly be in a little bit more trouble. Okay, Mike, the phone, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
I got a lot to say, Greg. Boy, when you're a college football fan, the drama doesn't end. That's all I've got to say.
No, it doesn't.
That's not all I got to say, but it's just extraordinary the amount of information that comes out daily in this sport.
Yes.
The biggest thing I wanted to get to, and I know a lot of people don't believe this, the CFP rankings are literally an algorithm that's run.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, anything else. For example, why is Ohio State over Georgia? Well, Ohio State's got 6 quality wins to Georgia's 4. They've got 2 top 25 wins to Georgia's 1. Their game controls 22.1, which would be your margin of victory, so your point differential divided by games played. Georgia's is 23.9, so they're virtually the same, but Ohio State's strength of schedule is 23rd, Georgia's 84th. So they're not particularly close in terms of being 1 and 2. And what you do, you add the quality wins to the top 25 wins. That gives you a number, and then you subtract the amount of losses you have from that number. And those are your rankings. And then if teams are close, the committee sits down and says, what do we value most amongst these teams? And that is where things can get a little bit weird, and they do sometimes bump up the back end of the rankings to help teams on top. But somebody had mentioned Louisville. The reason Louisville's last amongst the one-loss teams is because they have a bad loss, which is a loss to a team below 500. So it's literally that simple, and that's all this is. It kind of bugs me when people talk these conspiracy theories, the SEC wants these teams in, whatever. You run that formula any year during the playoff rankings, and you will see the results the same.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of let that be known.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, that committee comes together. They're getting all these data put in front of them, but it has to go into some sort of algorithm, right, to be presented in a
That's what it is. Yep.
And then they're going to take groupings. They're going to take, they'll probably take another look at the 1 through 4, even though the algorithm's saying 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll probably, they say, okay, are we sure about this? Is there something to the story that the algorithm's not picking up, whatever? But yes, they run it through an algorithm, they spit it out, and they generally have the list, and then they're debating 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Yep.
I just wanted to say that because a lot of people just run the conspiracy theories. They want SEC teams, or this team isn't a big enough brand. That literally has nothing to do with it. If you got there, you earned it. And when you get to the end of the year and everyone's played everyone they're supposed to play, it's pretty obvious who the teams are. So, like, I don't know what your gentleman caller JD said about Florida State not getting in. I didn't hear all that. If Florida State runs the table, they're 100% in. If they're a one-loss team and that one loss isn't the ACC title game, they could be in trouble just because their strength of schedule and their margin of victory isn't that good considering their strength of schedule. They'd still have a good shot. But if they run the table, they're in. He doesn't have to worry about it.
And he would agree with you. He would agree with you.
One other question off the subject. I saw your information about the SEC schools going, the 4 SEC schools in one swoop.
Well, we're not declaring that. We're saying that the SEC is getting aggressive, and the chance of that happening is increasing if Notre Dame doesn't make an action first out of the ACC.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, that's correct. The only question I had, and this is a hypothetical, so I understand you may not know the answer. If Notre Dame were to join the Big Ten someday, and you may not know this, those 4, let's say hypothetically, those 4 go to the SEC. If the Big Ten were to get Notre Dame and someone else, I still got to believe the Big Ten in terms of value and dollar amount would still be higher or maybe slightly below the SEC just because of Notre Dame's brand name. So I'm thinking if you get a Notre Dame and a Miami for recruiting purposes, I don't know that taking those 4 other schools, if the SEC does that, would necessarily bump them up in media dollars.
I don't know. Great question. I want to make. I don't know. I really don't know who would make more for media money. Tier 1, Tier 2. Virginia, North Carolina would help the SEC network subscriptions and all that. But if my main message was if Notre Dame keeps going along, keeps trying to figure out to maintain football independence, it's much more difficult for North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson to have Big Ten as a clear option. It is much easier for them. The road is already going to be riddled with a huge payout settlement, but the road is going to be much clearer for them to go to the SEC than to the Big Ten.
Right.
But if Notre Dame acts first, then then all bets are off, and a North Carolina could, the pathway to the Big Ten becomes much easier. So I want to make that clear once again. But for now, the longer Notre Dame doesn't get off the pot, if they continue down this road of maintaining football independence, the SEC chances of grabbing the 4 that they want, they are increasing. And they are being aggressive behind the scenes. There are indirect talks, as you can imagine, and the chatter is building among the money perch. So that's what I'm reporting to you all. But I'm not declaring anything quite yet. We still got a long ways to go. But that's where it's sitting.
All right, fair enough. Because I was just thinking, as long as the money doesn't change significantly, I don't think it really matters, especially in the Big Ten, since you've got the academic consortium where they actually kind of make money off that, from what I understand. All right, That's all. I'm sure other people want to get going. I think you do a great job. You seem like a good man, and appreciate the time.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike. Call again, sir.
Yep.
Thank you much. Great call. Great call by Mike. Mike the numbers guy. Nominate this guy to be PATC's permanent numbers guy. He can be it because I'm not smart enough. I can tell you that right now. Great call, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely great call. PSU Nitwit, Virginia, North Carolina doesn't add much to the SEC. It adds a whole lot of population. It adds 2 big states. It adds 2 states. That SEC network, the subscriptions in those 2 states, I don't know. I think it does add to the SEC. We're going to have to agree to disagree, PSU Nitwit. And by the way, Penn State's #1 hurdle to defeat the Michigan Wolverines is not stealing hand signals. It's not Michigan. It's me, Greg the Cooler, because I predicted Penn State to win the Big Ten championship this year. So remember that. The SEC network was formed in South Charlotte since day one. It's 2.5 hours from UNC campus. For what it's worth, Virginia and North Carolina exists within the acceptable footprint of the SEC. Jared McKinley thinks adding Notre Dame and Miami would bring the Big Ten more money than those 4 to the SEC. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Looking at, I see there's a news item about the University of Arizona. Robert Robbins addressed the faculty at yesterday's Faculty Senate meeting, telling them to expect draconian cuts. See, I've been seeing that in a few other universities.
Call from
JD.
JD, the floor is yours.
I had to throw a rebuttal in. Your
got it.
your last caller was fantastic, and believe it or not, I agree with him.
Yeah.
The SEC bias isn't in the playoff algorithms; it's in the voting. In other words, an SEC team loses, they don't drop as far. An SEC, there's just some inherent bias in the actual poll itself, and that affects the final numbers in a lot of ways. So,
got it.
Yep.
I
Anyway,
understand what you're saying.
Was all, yeah, and like I said, I'm working still, so
okay.
I wasn't able to pop in and type that out, but
nope.
No, but actually I agree with everything that he said.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, JD.
So, anyway, have a good evening.
You got it, man. PSU Nitwit, Greg the Heater, after this Saturday. Oh my God! I don't know. I haven't been Greg the Heater for so long. I don't even know what it feels like. If I ever become Greg the Heater again, you guys are going to hate me. But don't worry about it. It's never going to happen. I can't win a game to save my life. Okay, we're going to shut it down. We've been on the air for about an hour and a half. It was going to be a short live show. We did a real-time rapid reaction to the new college football playoff rankings. We knew there wasn't going to be many changes, and there basically wasn't much, right? Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Penn State, Ole Miss, Penn State, whatever. You got in Louisville, number 11. So a little bit of changes. Louisville got bumped up a little bit. Penn State got bumped up a little bit. But other than that, things pretty much stayed the same. Iowa got to number 22. So anyways, I appreciate you all coming in. Tomorrow might be a big day, so buckle up. Buckle up. Now, I'm not going to be around. Me and the little general, we have an appointment to make early in the morning. Hopefully, I'll get back around 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Time. We're going to be keeping an eye on the Jim Harbaugh Big Ten story. It could happen tomorrow. And if it does, we will be going live. We will be going live, and we'll take your phone calls for as long as it's needed. Tomorrow could be the day. I got a feeling it is. It's going to be tomorrow or Thursday, and I got a feeling a suspension's going to be handed down. And if it gets stopped, if Jim Harbaugh is on the sideline against Penn State because of injunction, so be it. So be it. But Tony Petitti has a whole lot of pressure on him. 13 institutions that say this went way beyond anything that anybody else is doing, too big of an advantage, so forth and so on. It sounds like Tony Petitti is going to take action. And when it gets announced, even if it gets announced, leaked late tonight, I'll be going on late tonight. So keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel. And to do so, please subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so the next time we come on live, you will get notified. And then please smash that like button before you leave. Thank you all for your comments, your phone calls. Thanks for the donation. I appreciate you all coming in. College football playoff installment number 2, the rankings. Okay. I think we're okay with it. Pretty much consensus. Everything is okay. Tulane will be playing Michigan in the expanded playoff, 12 versus 5. Ole Miss, Alabama, 9 versus 8. Louisville, Oregon, 11 versus 6. Penn State, 10. Texas, number 7. I can't wait till next year. I cannot wait till next year. However, tomorrow's going to be a big enough day as it is. Until next time, either tomorrow, late tonight, please, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.